Did you ever think a football match could be more than just a game? What if it became a battlefield, not for players, but for politicians? Imagine Vladimir Putin, a leader more famous for wielding power than kicking a ball, using football, the world's most beloved sport, as a weapon to expand his influence.
Ура!
It might sound like the plot of a political thriller, but the truth is stranger than fiction. Could football be the Kremlin's most surprising power play? Let's dive in and find out how the beautiful game became entangled with global politics. To understand this connection, let's start with an important question. Why football? In Russia, football isn't just entertainment, it's deeply woven into the fabric of national identity. It's a way to foster unity, display strength, and, in some cases, reshape narratives. Yet here's a twist. Putin himself isn't much of a football fan. His passion lies with ice hockey, a sport where he's been famously photographed scoring picture-perfect goals in choreographed games. So why would a hockey enthusiast care about football? Because, as Putin knows all too well, football offers something ice hockey doesn't: global reach. Enter Zenit St. Petersburg. This isn't just any football club. It's a powerhouse in Russian football, a symbol of pride for millions, and a key piece of Putin's strategy. The club is owned by Gazprom, Russia's state-controlled energy giant and one of the Kremlin's most influential tools. Through Gazprom, the Kremlin funds Zenit generously, ensuring it remains a dominant force domestically and a symbol of Russian strength internationally. But the connection runs deeper. Gazprom also sponsors the UEFA Champions League, giving Russia a foothold in one of football's most prestigious competitions.
Международного события. Чемпионата мира FIFA.
It's not just about winning matches. It's about staying in the game, politically and economically. But clubs are just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about the players. In Russia, military service is mandatory for young men, and footballers are no exception. However, the rules often bend for top athletes. Many fulfill their service obligations through sports clubs tied to the military, allowing them to train and compete while technically serving the state. Sounds convenient, doesn't it? But there's more to this than meets the eye. These arrangements turn players into symbols of national pride, aligning them with the state's vision of strength and unity. Players like Igor Akinfeev, a legendary Russian goalkeeper, become more than athletes. They become icons of Putin's Russia, whether they intend to or not. Now let's rewind to 2018, a pivotal year for Russian football and the Kremlin's global image. The FIFA World Cup came to Russia, and it wasn't just a tournament, it was a spectacle. For Putin, the World Cup was a chance to showcase Russia's culture, infrastructure, and power on the world stage. The event was meticulously planned, with gleaming stadiums, vibrant fan zones, and flawless organization. For a few weeks, the world's eyes were on Russia, not for politics, but for sport. But beneath the surface, the World Cup was much more than a celebration of football. It was a PR masterstroke. In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea drew global condemnation and led to sanctions. By 2018, Putin needed a way to rebrand Russia as a global player, not a pariah. The World Cup offered the perfect opportunity. The tournament was a reminder of Russia's capability, resilience, and cultural richness. It was, in many ways, a victory for the Kremlin. Before we move on to the next part, make sure to hit the subscribe button to help us keep bringing you more great content like this. Back to it. Yet, not everything was as picture-perfect as it seemed. Reports of forced labor during stadium construction and strict crackdowns on dissent painted a darker picture. Critics argued that the World Cup wasn't just about football. It was about legitimizing Putin's regime. For some, the tournament symbolized the lengths to which the Kremlin would go to control its image. Fast forward to 2022, and the narrative shifts dramatically. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine,
Принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
the global footballing community responded with unprecedented sanctions. Russian teams were banned from international competitions, including the prestigious Champions League. The national team was excluded from the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. These moves weren't just symbolic, they were a direct blow to Russia's presence on the global stage. The impact was immediate and severe. Clubs like Zenit St. Petersburg, accustomed to competing with Europe's elite, found themselves isolated. Foreign players left en masse, unwilling to stay in an uncertain and politically charged environment. Even young Russian talents, once eager to test themselves abroad, found their paths blocked by sanctions and travel restrictions. For Russian football, it was a turning point, a sudden and painful fall from grace. But the story doesn't stop with clubs and players. Let's take a closer look at the oligarchs, those billionaires whose fortunes and influence are closely tied to Putin's regime. Roman Abramovich, for instance, was a household name in football long before the sanctions.
Oil tycoon and politician Roman Abramovich.
Britain's most famous
Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich.
As the owner of Chelsea FC for nearly 20 years, Abramovich transformed the club into a global powerhouse, winning numerous trophies and setting the standard for success. But after the invasion of Ukraine, pressure mounted. Facing sanctions, Abramovich was forced to sell Chelsea, a move that shocked fans and reshaped the club's future.
Oh my God, man!
Yet despite these high-profile exits, whispers persist. Could Russian money still be quietly flowing into football, particularly at smaller clubs across Europe? It's a question that lingers, raising concerns about the sport's transparency and vulnerability to hidden influences. So where does this leave Russian football today? Domestically, the Russian Premier League continues, but it's a shadow of its former self. Without international competition, the league has lost much of its prestige. Sponsors are withdrawing, revenues are shrinking, and fans are growing disillusioned. For players, the prospects are bleak. Many are leaving the country, seeking opportunities elsewhere, while those who stay face an uncertain future. And yet for Putin, football remains a vital tool. It's not just about the game. It's about national pride, resilience, and unity.
Поклонников футбола и лучшие футбольные сборные планеты.
The Kremlin continues to invest in youth programs and patriotic campaigns, using football as a way to rally the nation in difficult times. Even in isolation, the sport serves a purpose. But here's the bigger question. Is Putin destroying global football, or is he simply exposing its vulnerabilities? The sport has always been a stage for politics. But the scale and intensity of this disruption feel unprecedented. The bans and sanctions have forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about football's role in society. Can the game truly remain neutral in a world so deeply divided? Football, after all, is more than just a sport. It's a global language, a source of joy, and a platform for unity. But it's also a reflection of the societies that play it, flawed, complex, and often political. Putin's influence has disrupted the game, but it's also revealed its fragility. The real question is, how do we as fans respond? What do you think? Are we witnessing the end of Russian influence in football, or is this just the beginning of a new, more covert game? Let us know in the comments, and with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.
Ура!